They were in their boats mending their nets one day, because it was many years ago, didn't have any sophisticated means. They were mending their nets just by hand. When suddenly it happened. A rabbi, as they were called in those days, a rabbi, a teacher, preacher fella, passed by, and he turned to them and he just said, "Follow me, learn of me." Simple as that. But his character, something about him, he was so compelling. It was though there was a glory around him that he was so attractive. They just left everything immediately. They didn't go back for their toothbrush even. They just followed him, like magnets sticking towards him. Just an amazing person. So this is the testimony of those who actually saw this wonderful man. They heard him speak. Their hands actually touched him. And of course it was the man that they called Jesus. He's the life giver, the life changer. Could he be the world changer for us today in the world of drama and trauma and all the pressures and problems that we're facing today? Now, hang on a bit, Rob. This is the Bible. Well, nice stories, aren't they? But hey, come on, come off it. Jesus, what are you talking about? Well, okay, see, I would have felt that exactly one day in time past, but I've done lots of reading and studying and listening to people talking and debating and discussing, and I've discovered that there is evidence for the truth of the Bible. So hang on, supposing it is true, that could be pretty significant, couldn't it? So, so why do I believe that the Bible's true? And if it does, why does that have such a powerful effect in my life and in the life of many people around me that I know where it does? Well, my belief is evidence-based, and it works in my life and that of countless people today. And actually, it has done down the centuries. Now, I mean, if you just dismiss it, as people do, "Oh, Rob, it's just stories. Oh, Rob, it's not. Oh, I mean, it's written years ago." All that kind of. If you dismiss it without proper seeking and without proper searching, then it could well be, and I would say it is true, that you will be turning your back on the very person who can change your life and the world around you. How come? How come? What's the evidence? Well, I give you 3 bits of evidence. I could give you more, but that'll do for now, won't it? The first is historical evidence. What do I mean? Well, Queen Elizabeth II died not too long ago, didn't she? And we have historians around us in the universities and other places, and they would have recorded the death and the date and all the things that happened. Well, you might not be aware, but at the time when Jesus was actually living, and at the time that the church started, the early church started, they were historians then. One of them was called Josephus. Others have got posh names that I couldn't possibly manage to spell, so I won't even try. But Josephus, we have written records, scraps of parchment, whatever they wrote on in those days, which actually record something of the history of the real life of Jesus. And academic people today, people who studied, if you went in and said, "Oh, Jesus never lived," if you tried to say that, they'd laugh you to scorn. There is so much evidence for the actual person and the life of Jesus that there's no answer to that. He actually did live. He was a real person. Okay, then the second thing is archaeology. That's, I like to say that's digging into things a bit deeper, but that's a very sad joke, isn't it, really? But there we are. But archaeology, that's quite remarkable. I could take you through several books of people who have involved themselves in what has been found deep down in the earth thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, that actually prove time and time again that what the Bible records as history, Old Testament and New Testament, is actually true. Now, in some of our later videos, I'll be discussing some of that, looking at some of the archaeological evidence. We're looking at some of the historical evidence for the life of Jesus. Did you know, by the way, when it came to the resurrection, it's written and recorded that 500 people saw Jesus Christ after they'd seen him crucified. He rose again. 500 people saw him all at once. And the reason why that is so powerful is that when those words were written in the Bible, some of the people were still alive. So they could say, yes, that's true. And nobody said it was not true. So there's so much evidence that we can pull together for all of this, you know. So there's history and there's archaeology. But the third thing which is so impressive is the impact that this person Jesus and the Bible have in people's lives today. I could introduce you to people who suffer from addictions of various sorts. And they met the person of Jesus today through worship, through hearing the Word of God, through reading the Bible, and their lives changed dramatically. So 3 items there then: history, archaeology, and what is actually really happening in people's lives today. It's so powerful. As I said, we'll dig into these things a little bit later in other videos. If you'd like to click on the button on the page, you'll be able to go on to other videos where we discuss some of these things.